and his family our sympathy and best wishes at this time. The last year has been extremely challenging, and I've been in and out of the building quite a lot of time. And although we don't have the same footfall, I know the outreach that our group has been doing has been phenomenal across the community. And I want to thank our staff, and especially I want to mention our volunteers. There are so many of them who do wonderful, wonderful work. And the Craven community, in fact, the community across the town, couldn't do without you. So I'm not going to say much more now. I'm just going to ask everybody, have you had a chance to look at the minutes of last year's AGM? And if yes, I'd like to ask one of our directors to propose them and second them. George?
Yeah,
I'll propose them, George, if you like.
perfect. Thank you, Damien.
I'll second them, Martine.
Thank you.
That's great. I would like to thank a good friend of mine, John Bradley, for making himself available today to present our annual accounts. I hope he has a lot of good news for us. I've had a read of them already myself. So John, I'll hand over to you. Thank you very much for participating today.
Thank you, Charlie. And Julie is just operating the IT. So Julie will now, I think, pin John to the screen. There we go.
Hello, how is everybody? It's great. Thank you very much for inviting me to your AGM to consider the accounts for the year ended the 31st of March 20. Seems like a long time ago, because since the 31st of March 20, we have had to endure all the trials and tribulations of COVID and everything else during the course of this year. So it's been a very, very difficult year since the 31st of March 20. But I am very pleased to report in relation to your accounts to the 31st of March 20, because your results have been fantastic. I mean, you have had a wonderful year to March 20. I mean, you generated £596,000. I mean, which is an increase of 107,000 from the previous year, which is a very positive reflection on the essentially your board of directors and George McGowan, your project director, and the staff for the work that's been carried out, because this, I mean, it's a very difficult environment in the community and voluntary sector, and to actually increase your income by £107,000 is a great vote of confidence in the Healthy Living Centre and the Old Library Trust. Essentially, you can't understate how positive that is. In relation to expenditure, the expenditure was £510,000. So really, you have a net incoming resources of £86,000, which is again an increase on the previous year. So that is a very positive development. There would be 41,000 added to your reserves of £159,000. And really, I mean, in terms of the detail, I know it's very difficult for people to get a sense of this, but really the message from me is that you have a very, very, very good positive financial outcome in the year to March 20. And clearly you've actually, but behind the numbers, there's all the work that you've carried out. And I did hear at last year's AGM samples of the type of activities you're involved in. And I can only say admire the type of good that is done in relation to the organisation. Does a tremendous amount of good in the Craiglang community and further afield. And so I congratulate you for that. So in relation to the accounts themselves, they is a very positive outcome from the financial point of view. Your balance sheet reflects a very positive, strong balance sheet with reserves of 159,000, unrestricted reserves, and total reserves of 1.8 million. So, I mean, it's a very, the organisation has, during the course of March 20, had a very good financial outcome, which enables you to carry out all the good work. I mean, what money does, it provides you the ammunition to actually do the work that you actually can, good work you can do here. And so really, I am very conscious of the fact that, you know, behind the numbers are great and positive stories here. So really, in terms of the situation, in terms of the detail, I'd be very happy to answer any questions. I mean, you have a very good positive outcome. From the audit point of view, essentially, the audit report is saying that the accounts show true and fair view, that the accounts are very well maintained, blessed with a very treasure in terms of Carol and Macaulay here, and so that you have a very strong board, very strong project director and staff, and actually you're in a position that despite the year that we've had, and from March 20, you've actually still had a positive outcome during the course of this year and managed to carry out outreach and various other activities in relation to this. So really, I'm very conscious of time. Very happy to answer any questions. It's a very positive message from the financial point of view to March 20, and I congratulate everybody involved. So thank you very much.
John, I'd just like to thank you as well for your efforts on our behalf, and hopefully next year we'll just have as positive an outcome as this year. Thank you very much. Are there any questions for John? No questions, John. Can we move on, please, George?
Yeah, move on, Charlie, surely.
Move on to the adoption of the accounts, please. And we need directors to propose and second that.
I propose, Martine.
I'll second. Damien.
Thank you, Martine and Damien. And straight away, George, if we move on to the adoption of the auditors for the following year. And again, I would propose we continue with the group that we're working with, John and company. And Damien, will you second that?
Second that, yeah.
Thank you very much. George, it's back over to you now for your annual report.
Thank you, Charlie, and thank you, John. Folks, I'm just going to give a wee brief overview from my own point of view, I suppose, in terms of the last year, and then we'll move on to the presentation, as I mentioned, from the staff, and we'll hear a few case studies as well. But I mean, it was touched upon there. I mean, in early 2020, I suppose no one could have predicted how the introduction of COVID-19 would have impacted upon us all. Our normal lives were through into chaos, and we were automatically put in the kind of fight or flight, and we had to look after ourselves, our families, and our loved ones to ensure that they were safe. But I suppose in the midst of the chaos, what I can say is that I'm extremely proud of the community sector as a whole. I remember going to initial meetings in early February, and we were actually talking about, putting strategies into place in terms of how we will, come through COVID, the support that we should offer the local people, how we would need to gather a team of volunteers, but also how could we do all that in a safe way and ensure that the community was never left wanting. I mean, from an organisational point of view, the team at the Old Library Trust here, I think, have been instrumental in the community response over the last years, and that's whilst they too themselves have been dealing, with the impact of COVID, on themselves, their families, their loved ones, and those, in the community that were close to them too. With people here, within the organisation dealing with their own health conditions, they've got vulnerable parents at home, so all of that was a challenge, and all of that in the midst of trying to work from home and homeschool, and keep the dog and the young children out of the live Zoom sessions, so that was a challenge. In terms of the quality and the quantity of the support, backed up by a kind of personal and person-centered approach that we adopted, I think it's something that they should all be really, really proud of. And I don't think, I think the community will never forget that, in terms of the response that they've all given to the local community. I thank each and every one of them. And I'm glad that we're going to actually hear from the staff this year in a wee bit more detail. And in particular, I'm really looking forward to hearing the stories from local people again this year. They reconfirm, what I'm saying in terms of the impact that we've had the local people. I suppose also I'd like to take a time to acknowledge that, this year has been one of challenge, one of change, one of transition, one of illness, one of heartbreak, and one of bereavement for quite a lot of people. Friends of the organisation, their families and their loved ones. People have suffered, and as an organisation, I suppose we continue to show solidarity and support, and we'll always reach a hand out for support to anyone in the community that needs it. All those, as Charlie mentioned, that have gone before us, and their families, our continued thoughts and prayers are with you all moving forward. We do have a difficult time ahead of us, folks, and to navigate out of COVID-19. And I would urge, decision makers, influencers, people attending the Zoom here that can make those calls. They always ensure that the people in this community in particular get what they deserve. This community has always had its challenges long before COVID. And now more than ever, I think we need everyone pulling together in the right direction for the best possible outcomes for local people. Of course, everything we do here at the organisation wouldn't be possible without the support of many organisations and individuals. With so many, they mention that I don't want to try and list them all for in case I miss out any one particular organisation or individual. But I thank each and every one for any role at all that you've played in assisting the organisation over the last year. I would quickly like to thank, because if I don't, I may get the sack. I would quickly like to thank the board of directors in particular for their continued support since I took over from the organisation a number of years ago. It's actually my third AGM, which the time has just flown by. I'd like to thank all our partners, locally, regionally, across all sectors, community sector, voluntary sector, statutory, public and private sectors, and all our funders who continue to support and believe in the work that we do. As well as that, our diverse range of facilitators. Charlie mentioned already our amazing team of volunteers. We would not exist without our amazing team of volunteers who've really come to shine quite a light over the last year with the response, particularly during COVID. But most importantly, I want to thank our local community and anyone that's been involved in any way, shape or form of the organisation for making that first step and believing and trusting in us and what we do in order to try and help improve their general health and well-being. So with that said, look, I would just like to pass over. I'm going to introduce Julie, who is going to give us a bit of a programme overview, followed by all the senior members of the team who will then talk about their individual projects. So I'll pass over the mantle to Julie to continue. Thank you.
And thank you, George. I'd just like to take the first couple of seconds just to reiterate what George has said to many of us. As we all know, 2020 has been a difficult year for everybody, and the work and support delivered throughout the last 12 months couldn't have been achieved without the fantastic work and team effort to be creative, adapt, and use our skills as the best of our ability to support our local community. And with the team that we have here, we've been able to do so, and we wish to highlight that going forward. So the OLT Trust has 4 key strategic themes in which we deliver all our programmes and services. So we have the healthy lifestyles, providing local community with programmes and services to improve their physical, mental and social well-being. Our older adults and deeds team, providing support and activities for our older residents and people living with dementia. Our long-term condition management supports our local residents to live a fuller life who are living with long-term conditions. And our Family First Hub, which is supporting families and connecting them to the programmes and services that they need based around their needs. And over the course of this presentation, we will give you a look at what the programmes and services we've delivered within each people who've been impacted by them directly. So firstly, our Healthy Lifestyles programme. So the services we've had have been in an attempt impacted by COVID-19. When we were first hit with the lockdown, we took to the streets to provide exercise to the local community in the safest way possible. We wanted residents to have the opportunities to continue to be active. 8 weeks with over 20 streets covered, we've seen over 1,300 people engage in fun outdoor exercise. In the months following the lockdown, we continued to adapt to the restrictions and to meet the needs of our members. We delivered online classes, creating an online group which people tuned in each day for new exercise classes. Once restrictions were lifted, we were able to open up and run our exercise for all timetable, which seen classes return in small numbers and engage in a full timetable. As you can see, we have an online exercise group now of 257 members. And in the latter part of 2020 and coming into the year of 2021, we've been granted the opportunity to continue to support the community with the funding from DFC, which has been able to support the local people and the local schools in delivering physical activity online. Online classes have been able to grow and deliver because of this, with no charge to their members and the wider community. And whilst physical activity is a key deliverable in our area of work within the healthy lifestyles theme, it's important to highlight that we also provide additional support, especially in nutrition, individuals and families. And this year we've delivered 2 transformer trolleys, both of which have been delivered across all 5 trust areas within Northern Ireland, with key partnerships with Seafood and the Healthy Living Centre Alliance, with over 200 participants attending these programmes and up to 500 people being impacted indirectly too because of the support. And going forward, we just want to share a couple of key stories from some of the members that have been attending our programmes. So Kerry Mitchell is a local mum that lives just a stone's throw away from the centre, has been attending our classes from our first lockdown to when we returned to now engaging in our online classes. She just said over the lockdown, she's found it hard, that has nothing to do with after homeschooling and starting online classes. She's now lost 19 pounds, feels much better and has more energy. And she loves the fact that they're accessible to her when she has the weans and everything in a busy lifestyle that she can catch up on after. And Anne Diaz is a new member to our online classes and has only engaged recently in the new year. But she's also a working mum and a carer. She's found that her mental health has deteriorated over the past year, and the classes have been a lifeline for her to improve her mental health and give her a really positive energy boost and a renewed energy throughout the day. And she's finding the benefit from that. And these two participants themselves have shown the highlight that the impact of the work that we can have, whether we're online or face-to-face in the Healthy Lifestyles programme. And now we're going to go on to our older adults and deeds team. So we're going to have Sinead that's going to speak. Sinead.
All right, Julie, thank you. Our programme started as busy as ever this year. Just after lockdown, we began with check-in calls and a referral service for both older adults and our deeds members and carers. But of course, for older people, it's that face-to-face work that they really do miss. So over 900 activity packs have gone out. There's one due to go out now before the end of the month. And that afforded us a doorstep check-in as well, just to see how people are actually doing. Our street bingo was a huge success. Over 1,000 people took part on that. I think it was very much an intergenerational approach, and each street had their own unique way of calling the bingo. And I think just the crack was just brilliant throughout the street bingo. Our 2 figures of mindfulness and the reading rooms programs, they are small figures, and it has highlighted for us, because it's an online program, Mindfulness and the Reading Rooms, about digital poverty and digital inclusion issues for older people. So that is something that we are looking at with the loan of tablets, etc. Again, another face-to-face program, our Doorstep Melodies. We all know that music is an amazing connector for both older people and people living with dementia. So over the case of the spring and then into the summer with Fela, we had over 150 people reached with that. And it's more than that really, because their families were involved as well. We extended that program to be music on the streets just at Christmas time. Again, it was very much an intergenerational approach, lots of singing, lots of dancing on the street. And we covered 15 streets throughout the week just leading up to Christmas. We have a new program called Cares Collective program. It's funded under the Warm, Well and Connected series, which is under the Department for Communities. And that's really an amazing program because it has been delivered right across Northern Ireland, and it's through the Healthy Living Alliance. And I guess it highlights for us sometimes, you know, the beauty of Zoom, that we can reach people even further and wider than what we normally do. So it's been, I suppose, a good outcome of the pandemic. We have extended our BIP and Me Time program that will continue right to the end of the year. So at the moment, we have 10 carers, and they are carers of everything from somebody maybe living with cancer to living with dementia or any other kind of long-term condition. And those carers are age 65 plus. So moving on to our DEEDS program, we did have a change within the DEEDS team. So here you can see the amazing Wendy McLaughlin has joined the team, and I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank both her and Deirdre for all their work throughout the year. We were able to do some face-to-face work with our activity packs. They were everything from well-being, exercise, art packs, etc. And then later into the year, when our partners were able to come back on board, they have supported us with Halloween, Christmas and Valentine's activity packs as well. And I'd just like to take the opportunity to thank all our partners for their support and input into the programme under what has proved to be really difficult circumstances. Dees had their own doorstep melodies. It's such an amazing connector to have music for dementia. They were missing their live music, so to have that on their doorstep has had an amazing impact. One older couple, it was their wedding anniversary. It was just an amazing surprise for them. So the feedback from that has been really incredible. We've always had our Cares education program, and we've had 28 members and 2 staff from the trust that have gone through that program as well. We really hit the ground running. We had things online literally within the second week of the lockdown, and our reach has actually gone from 5,000 to over 79,000 people. So again, you know, it serves our members and their carers here, but it is actually reaching a far wider reach now than we ever really imagined. And we've had everything from art, reminiscence, music, exercise, dance, even things like green therapy. When we haven't been able to get out, actually bringing the outside in has become an amazing part of our programme. In education, again, our dementia awareness, we have delivered to 16 students in the Ulster University, the performing arts students, and they have an arts and health module, so we have delivered to them. And Wendy recently delivered to health and social care students in the Northwest Regional College as well. So we're continuing to get information and education out there generally on dementia. We have had over 80 self-care packs going out to carers. This has been a very, very difficult time for people living with dementia, and then obviously for their carers at home, the lack of services, the lack of face-to-face groups, etc. So self-care for carers has been a huge part of our programme over the last year. Part of that feedback that we got from carers has led to Carers Connect. That's a new programme. It's one-to-one, it's bespoke. It really helps carers to deliver a structured range of engagement, of meaningful activities at home for their loved ones. So we get a lot of information from the carers about their loved one and about them as a carer, and it's very bespoke to them, and it has had great feedback. We have 25 volunteers. We were able to celebrate them on Zoom for Volunteer Week and a gift sent out. Our volunteers are now re-engaging on the programme. So they're doing everything from phone calls on a weekly basis to meal deliveries or helping us with our activity packs. And honestly, again, we could not do this without our volunteers. They are a huge part of the DEEDS programme. We've had great coverage this year. We've been a big lottery feature. We've been featured in the Irish News, and we have been featured in the Learn Well, Live Well report, which is about education for health and well-being. So I think we're really, you know, trying to get the message out there about dementia and about education for dementia, but also to show people just what the DEEDS project is doing as well. And our next slide, we are going to hear from Lynn. Lynn is a carer of Seamus, both pictured here. They were part of the Irish News feature. And Lynn's going to just tell us a wee bit about what connecting to the Old Library Trust and the Deeds Project has done for her. Thank you, Lynn, for coming and chatting to us today.
Hello everyone, my name is Lynn and I live in Claudy with my husband Seamus, who lives with dementia. Seamus attends the Deeds social group in Park and I travel with him and we join other people with dementia and their carers. I would describe the social group as a lifeline. It has provided routine, activities, camaraderie and connections. Seamus loves seeing people and talking to people. He likes to have a routine and enjoys activities, all provided at the group. Due to the travel involved, it is the only Deeds group that carers attend with their loved ones. And I would say the carers get as much from the sessions as our loved ones. We loved attending the group. We made friendships, and there is a great sense of togetherness when we meet. When it closed down due to the COVID, I was worried that we would feel cut adrift again, but I needn't have worried. We have continued to connect with Deeds throughout the pandemic. Firstly, through the calls and all the online activities on their Facebook. And we engaged with the stories, the poems, music, reminisce, exercise, etc. And now we have joined a storytelling program on Zoom through Deeds. We also get deliveries of activity packs every quarter and lovely treats at Easter, Christmas and Valentine's Day, which is very much appreciated. Last summer, I joined the pilot program of Carers Connect. I had noticed that Seamus had declined more due to the lockdown and lack of structured activities and social engagements with Deeds that the Deeds had offered to him. I was given a tablet and Sinead taught me how to connect to Zoom. At my age, it was great. The tablet came uploaded with lots of videos and activities to use at home. I also received a resource pack full of arts and crafts and handouts to support the learning. I learned the importance of having a structure for Seamus and a range of activities we could do together. I also learned how to connect the 5 senses to the activities, as sensory engagement is so important for dementia. I benefited a lot from Carers Connect. It made me think in a different way about dementia and how I can help by focusing on activities that help him. Deeds is so important to the rural areas. Usually we have to travel into town for services, so it is great to have them on our doorstep. I had also joined another program last year for carers called Me Time, funded by Bupa. I travelled up to the centre with Seamus and he attended an activity while I learned how to look after me with exercise, dance and sessions on mindfulness and relaxation. Me Time has continued on Zoom and it is lovely still to be able to link up with the other women in the group and do new things together, as well as connect with each other. We are doing lovely sessions with Eleanor Weaver and Wendy on breathing, mindfulness, relaxation, etc., as well as wonderful sessions with Deirdre on life story work and being introduced to things like CBT and cancer awareness. And finally, I would like to thank you for inviting me to speak at the AGM and providing the services to get us through this last year. We hope to soon be able to meet face to face and enjoy our classes once again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lynn. That's absolutely fantastic. And we look forward to having you back as well. very much so.
Be great to get back.
It would, it would. Thank you, Lan.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Sinead, and thank you, Elon. It was great to hear your story, and thank you. We're delighted you've been able to be here today. And our next slide, we're going to pass you on to our long-term condition management, and that's going to be overlaid by Jonathan Pevere, who's our long-term condition management specialist. Jonathan.
How you doing, everybody? Is okay? How do you follow the deeds team? It's quite a challenge, but we'll give it a go. So the pandemic for us was quite challenging because most of the delivery that we do is exercise, engagement, social activities, trying to get people out and about and looking at the health and well-being using physical activity. Like everybody else, it was challenging at the start. We started contacting our clients, our members, and what we found quite quickly was that people really finding a struggle with the lack of social engagements. They were missing the physical activity, and it was starting to really affect them mentally and physically. So we had to come up with a challenge. We had to come up with an idea how to challenge that. So we created the online exercise program, and we created a private group, which is the Step Forward online group. The challenge for that not only was getting it set up and trying to get people to buy into it, but it was actually getting people connected. You know, we were working with a lot of older people who weren't really tech savvy, and myself and Pete, we spent the time, and it was quite challenging as well to get people connected onto Facebook and Zoom and teach them how to do it, but it was definitely worthwhile in the end up. We've 159 members locally on the Step Forward program on the online. And to date, we've delivered over 140 live sessions, and that's still ongoing. And the great thing about it is that when people became more confident with the online sessions and how to use Facebook, how to use Zoom, it opened up a whole new world for them as well, connecting with each other. So we found the feedback that they're not only connecting with us via the online, but they're connecting with each other and family members. So they're embracing the use of the technology. They're loving the exercise sessions, which is great. We've provided sessions for exercise, Chimey, yoga, and we've had mindfulness. And we're just trying to create a routine. Before lockdown, we had a timetable where they could come, socialize, and engage in meaningful activities throughout the week. And we were working with people who were living with chronic pain, and you know, they were high risk. So the fear for them to go out and get physical activity was really there, and it was present. So for them to be able to engage with us and take part in physical activity from the safety of their own home was really an important thing, and it was quite powerful for them to be able to take control and engage in those sessions as well. So we had 159 members online. We've done over 140 live sessions. And on top of that, the GP referral program, that came to a halt. You know, we were doing one-to-one sessions, and we were doing group sessions, working with people who were high risk and who were living with chronic pain and long-term conditions. When the restrictions did lift, we were able to get a couple of people in to do one-to-one sessions, and that was great. But then the restrictions shut down again, so we were back to square one. We were able to use the online Step Forward, but then we've decided to create the GP referral program. Now we identified that we had a number of people who were living with respiratory conditions, and you know, they are high risk. They were our priority number one. So we set up the GP referral program online via Zoom, which went strength to strength. And we ran that before Christmas and then again after Christmas. And it was just a lifeline for people who were shielding from the start. You know, we've one gentleman who hasn't really left his house since March, but he's been able to engage in his physical activity just through that program, which has been massive for him. I couldn't imagine being locked down in the house since March. So it's been a real lifeline for them. We've delivered quiz nights as well. So to keep the spirits up, we've delivered over 40 quiz nights since lockdown. And at the start, it was myself and Pete. We were the quiz masters, and I have to say we did a good job. But after that, we decided to hand over and give it back to the participants, and they've taken it on themselves now, and they're their own quiz masters each week. So we take turns, and it gives them the opportunity to take control and to give back, and you know, the sense of fun and community and togetherness just through those sessions has really helped in building, you know, the connectivity that we're all missing, the social interaction. So that's been fantastic, fantastic sessions for us to deliver as well. On the back of that, Pete has been delivering his chronic pain management program. So he's delivered 2 programs in the last, well, one before Christmas and then one just in January. And he's had over 35 people taking part in that. And that's people living with arthritis and chronic pain, which could be fibromyalgia. And he's delivered a program that's again been online via Zoom, and they've had things from physiotherapists, they've had mindfulness sessions, and it's just an opportunity for them to come together and see how they can help each other and support each other as peers living with pain. He's done a fantastic job, and hopefully off the back of this, when we are able to open up, we'll be able to get those people back into the centre and avail of the ongoing exercise and wellbeing sessions that we've got. An important part of the long-term condition management as well is volunteers. So we've been lucky enough to have 2 of our volunteers, and it's been quite hard and challenging for us to be able to provide an option for volunteer work. But Jason, who's been a volunteer for a long time now, and more recently John, who's recently retired, have stepped up to the mark. Jason's been delivering one of our sessions online, and it's gone down really well. And our members really love his sessions, and it's great for his confidence, and it's great to see Jason coming out of his shell as well. More recently, John Barrett, like I said, he's just retired. He's been coming in and joining and helping take some of the sessions online as well. And he's jumped in with 2 feet, and you know, I can only say that they're going to go from strength to strength. So it's really good to be able to offer the volunteers an opportunity to give back and to share their own experiences, because it makes it a lot easier for people to see that, you know, somebody's gone through a program, and then that there's an opportunity then for them to further develop themselves and give back within the program. Pete has also been working with the DFC fund, and he's been working with local schools. So they've been delivering exercise and wellbeing programs within the schools as well, locally, St. John's, Holy Child's, and the model school, and they've been down in St. Cecilia's as well. Off the back of some of the sessions that we've delivered, some of the schools had identified that there's been an increase in anxiety and stress for young people, and they'd reached out and asked if we could deliver a stress busting session, which I delivered myself, which was aimed at helping people to control the stress and anxiety through yoga. I'd recently become a yoga instructor. So we delivered a one-off session for St. Joe's, and the feedback from that was really good. They publicised it on Facebook, which then led on to being contacted from a number of other schools. So in total at the minute, we're working with St. Joe's, St. Colum's College, Ardnashee, and the model school. So off the back of this, we've come together and put together a 6-week program that I'm currently delivering with the schools. And it's aimed, like I talked about, dealing with stress and anxiety and trying to help the physical exercise through yoga and breathing techniques. And the feedback from that has been fantastic. We've got on there on the slide that we've reached 1,900 pupils. Now the college put out a pre-recorded video that we've done onto their school website and to their exercise P page for the pupils. So they have over 1,800 pupils to that. And then with the other schools, we've been delivering to up to 4 classes per session as well. And so the feedback for that's been fantastic. And it's something that we're actually looking to build on coming out of COVID as well. So hopefully we're building the links with the schools that we can deliver a program following this as well, because there is a need, and children's mental health and well-being is massively important as much as it is as the older people and people living with long-term conditions in the community. So hopefully we've sold ourselves well, and that we've been able to tell you the good work that we've been doing there. As part of the community builder as well, I work with Sean Dolan's, and Sean Dolan's had an aim to improve and to help young girls be able to take part in Gaelic games again in the local community. Before lockdown, this was going strength to strength, and they were reached up to 60 local girls that had joined the local team, Sean Dolan's, and the team were getting fantastic coaching and support from Sean Dolan's, and they were actually doing a school programs as well, locally as well, and the feedback from that was going strength to strength. Obviously, they took a hit, during COVID, which has reduced the amount of contact they've been able to have, but they were able to deliver some online sessions with the girls to try and keep them engaged. Hopefully on the back of COVID now, they'll be able to recruit the girls again, and they'll just be able to build the team going strength to strength. They had some fantastic results when restrictions lifted, with some of the girls playing locally, and which was a great achievement. You see on there that the girls teams gone from strength to strength. So the next thing we'd just like to highlight one of our members. So you'll hear from Jerry next, Jerry's taken part in the GP referral online, and he's also taken part in the chronic pain. So he'll be able to tell you his story and his journey and how it's supported us as well. So Jerry, if you'd like to have a little talk.
Good evening, all. I'd just like to introduce myself first of all. Jerry Arbuckle. I'll be 64 next month. I'm a sufferer of chronic pain. I had to give up my work about must be about just over a year ago because of the chronic pain. Now, I was going to my doctor, tell my doctor for the chronic pain and see what they could do, and I was referred to the Old Library Trust, which I didn't actually think would be for me, but found that to be good for me. I attend the classes with Pete, the chronic pain classes, and it's good to sit in and knowing that that you're not alone in your chronic pain. Like, you know, and I'm a widowed man, I live on my own, and you're sitting looking at four walls, and it's good to be interactive with different people with the same sort of chronic pain sufferers or whatever. And it's good to hear from doctors and from the different speakers that is on every week and all. It's actually given me a lifeline. Through Zoom, it's great too, because my mobility is restricted, and I'm not great mobility as such. But I went on then to do the exercises class, the other program, the exercise class with Jonathan, which I found very beneficial. When you're sitting and you're doing nothing and you're sitting in the house, and with chronic pain, you can't move around, you can't exercise. So the longer you sit, the stiffer you get, and it's just a whole effort of trying to stand up and do just the normal things, like about the house. Where we're doing this program now with Jonathan, the exercise program, and all these different exercises and yoga, and it's making me more mobile. It's freeing the joints up, and I feel a lot more mobile, and it's like a lifeline, to be honest with you. I really do appreciate it. I've found too, not only is my mobility better, that my mental health is better too, because it does get you down sort of when you're in pain continuously, like. And I found that with doing the exercise for him, my chronic pain is not as severe at times, what I mean. And I really appreciate all the programs that I'm doing on the Old Library Trust. I'm not a speaker as such, like, and I just thanks for the opportunity of giving my wee comeback on your program. So that's basically all I can say. Thank you very much. So,
Thank you, Jerry.
thank you.
Fantastic words. All right. So hopefully we give you a nice little brief intro of what we've been delivering over the year, and I think I'll pass you back to Julie.
Thank you, Jonathan, and thank you, Jer. It was great to hear your story and great to see that you're getting the benefits of all the great work that Jonathan and Peter's been doing over the course of the lockdown from Christmas onwards. Next and our final strand of work is our Family First Hub, which is going to be overseen and delivered through by Dee McLaughlin, who's our Family First Hub coordinator. So Dee, if you'd like to come on.
How's it going, everybody? Just bear with me, a wee bit nervous here, but we'll get there. The Family Support Hub, again, like the other projects we're saying, didn't come without its challenges this year. A wee overview is just that we work with children between the ages of 0 to 18, supporting family units. What we would receive referrals basically from everywhere. We would get them from health visitors, social workers, GPs, community organisations, self-referrals, mental health practitioners, CAMs, paediatricians. So it's a wide range of support that's needed out there within the Mirror Ward area. As I say, this year, that because of the face-to-face services and the lack of face-to-face services at the beginning of lockdown was really, really, really challenging. And at times I was kind of going, right, where do we go with this? But again, the support that's kind of come through, everybody adapted really, really well. So the main things that people kind of were getting referred in for, one of the biggest things that we've seen obviously through COVID was financial support. Then it was parenting programs and around boundaries, behaviour, routine stuff, because obviously children were taken out of their routine, taken out of school. This impacted greatly. Child and adult counselling, obviously there was a massive rise, and we've seen that throughout, of anxiety and low mood. One of the things that we've seen and we want to develop a wee bit more is one-to-one mentoring support for children from the age 8+ up, due to the referrals that we were getting in, and due to the lack of due to isolation and stuff. Listen here, there are other issues that's kind of come in has been housing and just basically people feeling lonely. So just a wee word of thanks to the referral organisations. I mean, that's adapted really, really well. Some of the Sure Start, Early Intervention through Action for Children, Life Start, the Flare Project, Extern, some of the stuff that they were able to provide and adapting really still massively benefited the families. But apart from that, I mean, you've seen there, we've 575 referrals since the start of April last year, which is phenomenal for the Family Support Hub. I think it's nearly trebled numbers. But in-house, because of funding that we received, we were able to deal with a lot of those issues ourselves. So if we look here at the first tab, financial support, we received Bernardo's funding, and we were able to, through the support of Mirror Ward and through partnership with Mirror Ward, we were able to, there was 80 families benefited from £50 worth of food vouchers. That was just after Christmas in January, when things were really, really tight for people. Just before Christmas, the Western Health Social Care Trust granted us some money as well. We were able to, again, work in a partnership with Mirror Ward, we were able to impact families with toy support, electric, gas, and just any other things that were needed within the house. We also received a lot of funding, thankfully, through Save the Children. We received actually over £40,000 worth of funding. What this was able to do, this was able to impact 147 families. And again, I just want to highlight again that the support from Emma, Gillian, and Catherine and Bernadine and the Sure Start team was fantastic. The way this funding was set up was it had to reach families with a child under the age of 6. So working in a partnership with Sure Start, we were managed to reach so many people. And I think thanks for everybody for that again. Talking therapy has been running ongoing. We had that running, but it halted just because of lockdown. Thankfully, that started again. And due to other funding from the Western Social Care Trust, we've been able to implement child counselling and other more intensive counselling for anybody that's kind of come in. So that's the numbers that's kind of benefited from that as well. Now you'll see that the SOP program has we've only been able to run the first SOP program, and it's just literally finished 2 weeks ago. Ideally, the year before we were running one every 2 months, so it would have impacted a lot more families. This is the first time they put it online. Thankfully, I'll show you a wee bit of feedback from one of the families that attended it on the next slide, but it was a great success, and the feedback from everybody that the group was brilliant. As I was talking about as well, so there was more funding. We received other funding as well from the Western Area Outgroups funding. So we're working now in partnership, needing that mentoring service just to see it's something that we would like to develop and something that we feel that there's a massive need out there. So we're just hoping that we can build on that and maybe apply for some more funding down the line so that we can get that on a bigger scale as well. So I'll just move you down to the comments, and obviously my project works a wee bit different due to confidentiality. So I've literally have no names in there or anything. It's just I've got permission from the families and just a wee quick overview of who they are. So this first family have been with me over a year. This is just in a nutshell what the mums kind of said. The support that we've received in the family hub has been brilliant. My daughter got the support she needs, me and our youngest daughter. The early intervention support team went in and helped with boundaries behaviour, which was impacting the whole family, which was affecting the older children. So then we were able to put support in place for the older children. The middle child attended the Strength to Strength program extern, and that ran for 6 months, and the feedback from that was brilliant as well. The oldest child had her own issues around bullying and stuff, and due to a bit of one-to-one work through the S project, she then went on and is now engaging with research. So as I was talking about here as well, this is a bit of feedback just from the SOC program, and just in case you're wondering, SOC is shaping ourselves and our children, and it's a program that basically how do you write this down? It's centered around boundaries, attachment, stereotypes, diversity, and how our own upbringing impacted us and how it impacts people as parents when they're raising their own children. So this is just from a mum of 2 children, aged 5 and 1. Thank you so much for sourcing the program. I enjoyed it so much, and the whole group have now set up their own WhatsApp group. Not only did I learn so much about parenting, but I've also got another friend group. And sorry, that message has just popped up there. And I think every parent should do the program. Again, this year didn't come its challenges, but hopefully now we're at the other end of it. And do you know what? It's just great. It's just great. See, when you're a part of the family's journeys, that being a part of that is just fantastic, and seeing the progression and seeing where they were at, they see where they've ended up whenever they're starting their journey. So it's building on strengths. And that's me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dee, and thank you. And just reiterate from yourself the fantastic work that you've done. I know you're a one-man project, but the partnerships that you've strengthened and the work that you've been able to deliver has been fantastic this year. So I just want to say thank you for sharing the stories that the families have shared with you.
Thanks.
And then lastly, we have our community and transition project. So I'll do a brief summary on a new project that we launched in the last 12 months. And due to COVID, we probably haven't been able to highlight it as much socially because we're working intensely on a one-to-one project with local men and women. This is a partnership with the Bauxite and Brandywell Health Forum and is funded by the executive. And the community transition provides mental and physical support for local men and women living in the Craigan and Brandywell area. To date, the project has worked with 50 men and women working on a one-to-one mentoring to provide them with support in their health and well-being. Participants receive intense one-to-one personal training, counselling, physiotherapy, nutritional support, and personal development as a standardised support package from all their mentors and from both centres. CAT also has the opportunity to work with 16 local men and women to train them up as volunteers, as health champions, and they've actually received standardised training as well. And they've also been in personal development, which has seen them do a list of courses that you can see on screen, from mental health training, the CBT, the cardiac rehab, the brain rehabilitation, the holistic health and complementary therapies. These volunteers have gained these qualifications and will strive to provide programs and services to give back to the community to support the improvement of mental health and physical health with all. And a major aspect that you will see in the coming weeks when restrictions lift is the launch of our kiosks, which will highlight the great organisations based locally and the programs and services they offer our wider community. And the community transition is continuing to work closely with local men and women to provide them with support that they need to improve their health and well-being, physically and mentally. And then moving on, you have heard from all of our key senior staff and coordinators around the programmes, but we know that sometimes speaking doesn't do us justice. So we just want to share with you a small video that highlights some of the key work that we've done throughout the last 12 months. So just bear with me, I will share with you a video.
Craigan's renowned for its people. It's good people. It's renowned for its community spirit. And just at this time, you know, it's a unique situation. And people were just feeling that wee bit of a dip in their mood. So we thought, look, let's get together and do something different. And it's really, really worked.
So hopefully you've all seen that, and that brings us to the close of the presentation, and I'll pass you back to George for the final few words.
Thank you, Julie, and thank you, the rest of the team and those who contributed with their stories. I think that's the part I most enjoy every year. I think, you know, because a lot of time we don't, you get that much stuff into the everyday goings on of the work that you don't actually sit back and take time to reflect. And I think the presentations, the speakers, the video, I think all of that captured you know, what we're about, and why we exist. And again, look, my hats off to the staff for every effort that you put in during what has been a challenging time. Some of the feedback in the chat box just is, you know, really grateful and thankful to all those who contributed to that in terms of, you know, giving praise to the organisation around partnerships and the great work and all of that. So thanks very much, everybody. And I suppose that brings another year to a close from myself and from the team. And maybe just hand back our wonderful, as I mentioned at the start, chairperson Charlie for to finish off the day. Back to you, Charlie.
Thank you very much, George. Well, before we get on to my final words, I have to just ask our directors, are they still willing to participate next year? George, I take it they will let you know that.
Yeah.
Them to stay on. So
thank you.
I'm sitting here actually, for me, for one of the few times in my life lost for words. I have a lump in my throat listening to Lynn and Jerry, to all our wonderful staff, and listening then to the information, the numbers that we've been dealing with, the families, the children. And as you know, my mother was chronic Alzheimer's, vascular dementia sufferer. And when I hear the stories and the trauma that support young families are going through, it just is absolutely amazing. And I say I'm lost for words. Your team, George, you and your team are doing phenomenal work. And I say not just in the Craigan or the Bog side of the Brandywell, but right across the city. And as I say, I'm actually going to get emotional if I keep talking. You know, so on behalf of myself and on behalf of the whole community of the city and outside the city, I just want to express my deep thanks and appreciation to you and all the team for the wonderful work that they're doing. God bless you, and I'll see you soon. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, folks.